Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy. These cards are just here primarily for decoration while I talk about an encounter with a shaman. So there are contemporary modern day shamans, and I don't remember exactly how I found out about them, actually, to be honest, but back when I'd had a hysterectomy and it wasn't healing very well, and I have that problem anyway because of my Lyme disease, but still, I just felt like something was interfering with the healing. And I decided to go down the shamanic road and went to the Foundation for Shamanic Studies, something like that, and found somebody not near me, a couple of states away, but as close as I was going to get anyway, and contacted her. And she did a shamanic, I can't say a shamanic healing. She discovered, she said that there was a spirit attachment, a little girl. And so she removed it. Or what they do is they help them to the other world. They say in the shamanic worldview, there's the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world. And, if spirits are stuck in the middle world, they will sometimes attach themselves to people. And so that was the thinking, that she had attached herself to me. And so she helped her to where she needed to be, and then also brought, I don't know how you'd say it, sought a power animal for me. And the power animal that she brought forth for me was dolphin. And I ended up having quite a lovely, I don't know if it was a couple year long relationship with dolphin. I don't look to dolphin very much anymore. But that's not what this is about. That's just some background. So, and that was a few years ago now that I did that, but I never forgot about her entirely. And not long ago, back in March, I think, when I was working with a deck, it was telling me, or to me, it seemed to be indicating that I had a negative spirit attachment. So a spirit attachment in which I was kind of being influenced in a way, and I don't know actually if this shaman, she was working remotely in both instances, if she actually located that particular influence or not. I told her about it. I didn't know any specifics about the influence except that it's, just that the cards, I wasn't experiencing anything that indicated that I had a negative spirit attachment, somebody interfering, that the spread was about success. And so I didn't feel like, I can easily point the finger at myself for my problems with success. But in any case, I went to her and asked for that, and she asked me if I also wanted to seek a power animal for her, any other sort of healing. I said, no, please just do a scan and see what's there. See if there's anything that needs to be removed. So this is about that session. So what she does is she calls at the time of the session. She calls first and clarifies, makes sure that what is wanted remains the same as the last communication. And this time she gave me I should mention that she had suggested, asked me if I wanted a spirit animal for protection or anything. Now, I had told her I have like sort of outrageous access to lots of spirit animals, but I think there's something to be said for leaving it up to the pros for certain things. And so I told her yes. So she was going to get me. She always thought she's going to seek. She was going to ask for. It's not like shopping at the mall. she was going to ask for a spirit guide, spirit animal to help protect me against spirit attachments. So she did her work, and well, back to her prep. So she's prepping me, and that prep is essentially asking me to breathe a certain way. And I don't recall her doing that the last time, but this breathing is I'm gonna close the door. I think a fly just flew out. If I'm lucky, the fly did not just land somewhere and is about to buzz around again. Hopefully it flew out of the room. It's a very buzzy fly. So you breathe into the count of 8, hold for the count of 8, and release for the count of 8. Pause, and then you breathe again. You start the sequence over again. I don't recall ever hearing about this, but that works. It's designed, I think, in large part to get you to relax. And so what's desired in this situation when you're doing this distance shamanic treatment is that you be relatively still and relaxed. And so I accommodated. That was easy enough to do. We had scheduled it for a time where I didn't have work or anything. And so I went, so then, hang up the phone after all of that's clarified. And I lay down and I start the breathing stuff. And before very long, I start to have an experience that I have had before, which is that a bunch of faces start appearing to me. And we had talked on the phone prior to, whether it's when we first discussed this or that in that pre-session conversation that we had, that in a time like now, with the COVID-19 stuff going on, there can be a lot of spirits lingering in the middle world, and a lot of potential for attachment. And she also said a lot of work for shamans, because it's part of their social contract, so to speak, to be aware of this and to help people, spirits, over into the world that they belong in. So when these faces started showing up, and I'd never had a framework for these faces before, these faces started showing up, and I just told them, don't come to me. Go to Sharon. This is Sharon's thing. Sharon will take care of you. So I kind of had a context for saying, just go to Sharon. That's what I'm paying her for. Just go to Sharon. And I lied a little bit. I did have one framework. I did ask a medium once about seeing these faces, and she said, no, that sounds like a shamanic thing to me. But she didn't know what that meant, I think, any more than I did. And I just let it drop. Sometimes I have them and sometimes not. And then I saw a TED Talk, and I think he called it something provocative, like talking to the dead or something like that. But and he talked about an old lady, elderly lady, who talked about seeing these faces, and he talked about an area of the brain designed for dedicated to facial recognition, and that it was likely misfiring. And so I thought, oh, well, that's what's been happening to me. I have a misfiring brain. Imagine that. With all my memory problems, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, no kidding. So I had it in that context, is where I slotted it into that science area. But again, we're into this. I start doing this breathing, and here come the faces, and I just kind of shooed them away. And that worked. And as they were showing up and I was shooing them away, there was also a sense of something digging up through the earth toward me. So I thought, all right, this breathing has put me into a shamanic journey state of mind. It's put me into that state. I thought maybe, with the faces, but usually I've seen the faces in the past when I'm like getting ready to fall asleep. It's still in that kind of liminal space where, not intentionally shamanic, but sort of like that space between waking and sleep. In any case, there's something clawing through the earth. I could see paws coming out like cats, like large, big cat paws, trying to come out into my world, my world in that situation, in that journey. And at first I was thinking, God, do I just tell it to go away? But it was still kind of scrambling, like it was trying to come through. And I thought, all right, whatever. Who are you? What are you? Come through the earth. Finish your journey. It came through. It was a black panther. I've never had a black panther around. And I associate, actually, I have a friend that I strongly associate Black Panthers with. And but certainly it never come through as a power animal for me. I never tried to connect with anybody else's power animal. I thought that maybe it did have something to do with the shaman I was working with. And in any case, it was not malevolent. It was quite proud, and I just sat there very quietly for a few minutes. And then the sky started falling. It's like there's big chunks, dark chunks. It's like an apocalypse was going on, and it's like the sky was kind of red, and there were these big black chunks of the sky that were falling down, and it's like, oh my God, why is this happening? It's like I'm having a shamanic nightmare or something, which has never happened when I've journeyed on my own, not in the 888 breathing and having a shamanic treatment. But again, in the spirit of, this is Sharon's gig, this is that Sharon is the shaman, this is her gig. She's supposed to be taking care of me, and she had talked to me about these sorts of things, like just telling something to go away, just telling it to stop, and she had talked to me about asking, asking my power animals to help. So I asked the Black Panther, excuse me, to take care of it. I literally just was like, I'm not into this drama. Can you take care of this? Because I saw no reason why the sky should be falling and there should be an apocalypse going on. I just saw no reason for this. And so I asked the Black Panther to deal with it. And sure enough, as soon as I did that, all of these black chunks that were falling from the sky, they went into the panther's fur. They like were absorbed into the panther's fur. And the drama stopped, and the panther went over to a hole in the ground and coughed a few times into the hole. And then it just sort of sat down or laid down. I don't remember exactly at this point, maybe a little of both. And there it was. Nothing else occurred in that regard. And then I had this, there was a blank space. There was just like me sitting in the grass and the panther a little ways away near the hole where it had coughed into, lounging. And then I had this sense of needing somebody's help, and there was a person, a man, and I was directing him to help me somehow, to get something for me or something. I don't remember. There was a sense of maybe like being on a ship, like an old galleon or something. And as I was telling this person to please get me something, and it's like I was going to turn or something, shift so that it's like the person walked past me to go do this thing, and I was going to turn or shift in order to be able to receive what I had asked the person to do for me, to get something for me or something. And I realized I had no feet. So that's like a dream, right? So it's like, all right, well, I guess I really did have to ask him to get me something because I'm not going anywhere, so I can't do it. And then at that point, I felt like I was on the verge of falling asleep. So I definitely disrupted that 888 breathing, and thought, I'm going to fall asleep, and I don't want any more visions. They're weird visions. So I just was wanting to totally disrupt what had been going on, and so I got up. I had been laying it. I got up and was just like reaching my doorway. Hadn't even stepped out of my doorway, I don't think, when the phone rang, and it was the shaman, Sharon the shaman, calling to say that the session, was over. What she needed to do was complete. And so that was some amazing timing. But what ended up being more amazing, so we have this Black Panther here, which Panther kind of shows here and is an ancestor of protection. And what Sharon was doing for me was this. She was acting as a shaman of purification, getting rid of energies that didn't need to be attached to me. And so I told her about seeing the faces. And she said, well, it may have been people from, I can't remember what other context she said they might fit into. But she said, considering what we were doing, maybe they were spirits in the middle world trying to come through. But she said sometimes they're ancestors also, I think is what she had said, or past lives that you're seeing. But I told her about my experience with the Black Panther. And so what was super interesting about that was she said that, well, she has worked with Black Panther in the past herself. So it could have been her, but even more, a relation, one of her guides intervening. Maybe especially since I said shortly before, well, it was as I was seeing the faces and I was referring them to Sharon, that's when, this panther was digging through the ground to come up. So then she told me that in I think the Caro shaman tradition of South America, what I saw happening was essentially what they do, what black jaguar, or just jaguars actually, I don't think it has to be a black one, do in their tradition is that anything negative, this is my memory, right? So I don't know if I'm representing this accurately, but in their tradition, a jaguar that is part of the journey is there to eat, actually. In my case, the negativity was being absorbed into the animal's fur, but she said what they do is they eat anything bad that comes in, any negativity, anything bad, they eat it, they swallow it, and they eat it. I thought, oh my gosh, look at that. It was just so similar to the function that this jaguar played in my journey. I hesitate to call it a journey because there was no real journeying in my vision. I don't know what. And so that was super interesting to me. Although really in the end I don't know what to make of it. The jaguar could have been something that, it could have been Sharon's jaguar. And it could have been just a shamanic jaguar. I mean, I don't know if there are different levels of power animals or why one would function in a way, in my vision, that is part of a traditional I don't know, function or action of that animal in a vision. In any case, there was that. And then we talked about what she found, and she found 2 children, a little boy, a little girl, and an older man attached to me. So I had a number of people. She didn't tell me much about them. I didn't ask much about them. I remember from the last treatment she had said, no, the point is not to get to know this person, it's to release this person. It's not to invite them back, it's to let them go. So this time I didn't really ask anything. I just thanked her for that. And then she said, I'm not sure what's going on, but I sense that there was a problem with your feet. At that point, we'd been talking for quite a bit, so I didn't tell her about the vision with the feet and missing my feet, not having any feet. But she suggested that I use Epsom salts or hydrogen peroxide and just soak my feet. And I'm sure it probably had to do with just needing to ground or something. I don't have any other problem with my feet at present, but I'm sure it was, again, subtle energies, or maybe not so subtle since my feet were actually missing in my vision. Um, and she told me that the power animal for protecting against spirit attachments, more spirit attachments, since I seem to attract them, was screech owl. So this is not a screech owl. This is a short-eared owl. Screech owls would be quite a bit smaller, but they do have kind of that expression on their face. So that was super sweet, a screech owl. And her thinking was that, the screech owl would, be able to be alert and warn me, but I'm not sure being alert and warning me is particularly useful. I want something that will repel, kind of repel. I'm sure if I do, I need to practice the rose meditation that Eileen has shared with me. I'm sure that would help if I can get to do that on a regular basis. But, I'm never going to turn down a power animal, that's for sure. And, I have felt protected, but it's like in my mind, she had said that she imagined the little screech owl on my shoulder. And so there has been a sense of it being on my shoulder, and that when the fly is still in the room. It's now circulating again. But that at night, it actually perches on my head as I sleep. I've had that sense. It's one of those things that it's kind of hard to connect with it, because at present it's like it has no function. It's like I found out about the spirit attachments through a tarot spread. I wasn't feeling any, so I'm not sensitive to spirits. Like they can come and attach to me no problem because I'm completely unaware of them. And so it's not, I'm not aware of when I should ask, maybe I should ask the cards that someday. Why do spirits attach to me? When do they attach to me? Is there a season? I don't know. I mean, is there a particular, clearly I need to somehow be guarding against it more. I have the screech owl. But of course, when she says that it'll watch for it and warn me, power animals are not the animals. They take on that appearance, but they're beyond that. And I recently had an interaction with somebody who I've been needing really to set some boundaries with. And and I was suddenly just incredibly clear and fairly forceful in expressing the boundaries with this person and telling them the boundary they had crossed and why, and what I considered inappropriate. It was just there, and it was very Queen of Swords. It was very Queen of Swords. And although I've certainly set boundaries with this person in the past, at times kind of nipped them, there was a different tenor this time. There was a different interior tenor. And after it was over and I was looking back on it, I thought, you know what? I think that was a screech owl intervention. Even though it had nothing to do with nothing to do with spirit attachments, nothing like that. But it was a very clear, sort of cold boundary setting, like a thou shalt not pass, and if you do, there will be hell to pay. And I mean, I was expressing that from myself, but I think the motivation and the clarity of motivation and the directness of it, it was quite unequivocal that I think the owl was, sorry about the fly. It just landed on the webcam, so I'm sure you probably heard the incredible buzzing. That, that I would attribute that to the new influence of owl as my power animal that I'm working with closely at the moment. I have others that are close at hand these days, but that one has a strong sense of protective energy at the moment, and vigilance. So there we go. I just felt like recording that for my own purposes and to upload it again just as a matter of sharing, because there may be other people in the world who are curious about these kinds of things. I know that these are supposedly things that some people feel shouldn't be discussed, and I want to discuss them because I want other people to know that people have these experiences and what they're composed of. And like this breathing thing to me seemed to create a stronger connection, a direct connection with Sharon while she was doing the treatment. So, and at least I think connected me to her in a way that I think was not there the first time. I had nothing the first time. I was just relaxed. I was aware of nothing. And this time I was practically felt like a co-participant, even though, I was never seeing what she was seeing. Again, the Black Panther showing up and functioning in the way that it functioned, and the thing with the feet and the faces, and I mean, it just all was like, whoa, this is different this time. And I think that's it. And again, under this title of Exploring Connections, I'll probably talk about any additional experiences that I have with either shamanism, shamanic journeying, anything that's energy work. That's not tarot, and is in fact exploring connections, ancestors, journeying, power animals, goodness knows what else. And even if it does include some tarot, if the intent is exploring how we're connected, whether within this world or with, you know, the shamanic upper lower, or, you know, within the energies of the body and in the earth, you know, all of that stuff will probably come under a heading of exploring connections. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Thanks for stopping by and listening. Feel free to share in the comments whether your comments about experiences you've had, or linking me to other information you think I might find interesting, anything of that sort. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.